This is Johnny with Tiger Bomb MMA, and tonight I'll be going over UFC Fight Night, Vieira versus Tate. This is another week without Jose. He's on a bit of a sabbatical for the time being, but he'll be back eventually. Before I begin this entire card, I wanted to go over the previous weekend's fight card, the Rodriguez versus Holloway. It was a piss poor showing on my case. Like, Jesus. For example, I placed a bet on Kennedy and Zekachaku, and he did not look good. He got knocked out. I didn't expect him to get knocked out, especially that early. Rafael Alves, I did put a small amount of money on Alves to win, plus 190, I believe, is what I got. And he did exactly as I thought he was going to do. He actually landed the 1-2, then a flying knee that maybe didn't necessarily land clean, but he ended up getting the submission over Mark Diakese, which was like, unfortunately, my only winner of that night. I had a couple parlays, and they didn't really work out. Jojua lost to Courtney Casey by decision. Jojua, all she had to do was continue the wrestling as she did in round 1 and 2. Do it earlier. She refused to do it. Her IQ was god awful. Note to self, do not bet Jojua any longer. Sean Woodson took care of Colin Anglin. I didn't think he was going to be able to finish Sean Woodson. But the thing about Colin Anglin that I even thought about maybe placing a bet on him, because he's not all that bad, but he gets kind of caught up on the striking. Like, he wants to be a striker or some shit, and just did not work out well for him. Even Sean Woodson was like, well, I guess he's not going to try to take me down, so might as well beat his ass. Andrea Lee defeats Cynthia Calvillo. She quit on the stool. It is what it is. I'm happy for Lee. I thought Calvillo was going to really do a little bit more and edge out the decision. Clearly did not. She was losing the entire fight. Joel Alvarez destroyed Thiago Moises. That was cool. That's one of those fights that I thought about putting a little bit of money on, but I bitched out just mainly because Joel Alvarez missed weight. I didn't want to take a risk on a guy who had missed weight like that, but he handled business like nobody's business. Damn, I've never seen Moises get handled like that. That was incredible. But motherfucker has to start making weight, so we'll see where the future takes him. Song Yadong knocks out Julio Arce, and that one stung because I had Julio Arce on a parlay to win. Everyone else on that parlay won, but Julio Arce kind of let me down. That was kind of a long shot type of parlay because I wasn't 200% sold on Arce to win, so I didn't put all my eggs on that basket. But he was looking good in the second round, started pushing the pace, but then he got caught by Yadong, which I did not see coming. I thought it was going to go over. A lot of these fights didn't go the distance, I should say. So that was a crazy fight card. But yeah, man, Julio Arce, his striking, I guess I overrated it a little bit. Chaos Williams knocks out Miguel Baeza. Man, this fight kind of proved one of the two things, that either Baeza wins by being the better fighter or Williams wins by sheer power, and sheer power won that night. Baeza kind of made the dumb mistake of going one too many times to that calf kick, the low calf kick, and Chaos eventually caught him and cracked him in the third round. So that was unfortunate because Baeza, he's a young guy. It's just that, like, at this point with these two back-to-back losses, I don't know where he's going to go. I think they're going to give him maybe a softball his next fight. But yeah, dude, he can't be taking that kind of punishment. And then Felicia Spencer destroys Leia Letson. Absolutely handled her on the clinch. She was looking quite good. I don't normally give huge props to ladies who just try to clinch up against the cage and win a decision that way, but Felicia was absolutely trying to destroy Leia by throwing elbows. She threw a nasty amount of elbows, almost to the point that I'm like, damn, she must have been watching Matt Brown tape all throughout her camp. But yeah, she eventually gets her grounded and then finishes her off with some pretty decent ground and pound. But yeah, Leia Letson, unfortunate for her comeback is against Felicia Spencer. She gets her ass beat. This one really screwed me, which was Ben Rothwell loses to Marcos Rogerio de Lima in the first round. Funny enough, I went to pick up some packages at my girlfriend's mom's house, and I put the phone on, I turn off my car, I go get the packages, I come back, the fucking fight's over. And I'm like, what happened? Who won? And I see Ben Rothwell standing. So I'm like, oh, he must have caught DeLima. And I see DeLima walking to his corner. I'm like, okay. And I see DeLima hugging his corner. I'm like, shit, that did not go well. So I saw the replay, and Ben Rothwell got cracked. I worried that DeLima might be able to do something like that because he is the faster guy. And I think I specifically mentioned like Ben Rothwell's kind of there to be hit, but I thought his chin was going to really withstand the power. I guess not. Just sucks. That really broke my heart. I'm like, damn, I really needed that win. And finally, Max Holloway defeats Yair Rodriguez in a 5-round decision. Great back and forth fight. A lot of people on Twitter were talking about like, how can you not respect Yair Rodriguez? It's simple. Fuck him. I still don't respect him. Great performance by him. I mean, I just don't still like the guy. I don't understand how he was still 3 in the world. We'll see what happens with him in the future. I know his foot got mangled, maybe a little too early, but I think he's going to try to use that to not fight for another few years. So we'll see. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I did not do very well. Went like 5-6 this previous card, so I'm going to try to recover. Uh, yeah, I see some good fights on this card for Vieira versus Tate. So we'll begin our fight card at strawweight. Luana Pinheiro versus Sam Page Hughes. This one's pretty simple for me. Even the odds have it minus 290 for Pinheiro. Come back on Hughes. It's plus 245. Hughes, I don't think she belongs in the UFC. Now she's fighting someone who is quite a decorated grappler. I think Pinheiro is going to just take her down, dominate her on the ground. Either first or second round, she's going to get a submission or TKO. Unfortunately, man, Sam Page, they are giving her a lot of hard fights. Tisha Torres and Lookboonmee, who's fighting on this card later. It's yeah, she's gonna get her 3rd straight loss. As for Luana, just to kind of break her down, her last fight was a win over Randa Marcos. She got kicked in the face. Kind of funny to me because I wanted Marcos to win because I thought she could. It wasn't looking Marcos's way, and then she ended up kicking her in the face when she was down. I really enjoyed that picture of her on the ground. Man, it's quite funny to me. But I think she's going to be the stronger girl, the much more skilled girl. And I think the only way Hughes wins this one is if if Pinheiro kicks her in the face when she's down. But yeah, I got Pinheiro to win this one by I'm having difficulties picking either submission or TKO. So I'm going to go with a TKO. I think she pound her out on the ground. First round. Our next bout we've got at featherweight, and I've always had trouble pronouncing this guy's name. It's Shaylin Nuerdanbieke versus Sean Soriano. Currently, the odds have it in favor of Soriano, minus 255. Comeback on Nuerdanbieke is plus 205. And this one, it's quite interesting. I like Sean Soriano. I liked what he did against Christos Giagos. I actually picked him to beat Christos. And while I was actually at that event, I didn't really get to experience that fight in the best possible way. Of course, being up in the fucking nosebleeds, you can't really see it. So I had to rewatch the fight between him and Giagos, and he was lighting up Giagos really nicely to the legs, lead leg. His Muay Thai is fantastic. The way he throws his hands, he has like zero respect when he's throwing his hands. Like he doesn't give a shit. He's gonna try to knock you out. And I like what he can do. I really like his skill set. His takedown defense wasn't too bad. He did get caught with that Darce choke, but that was in a weird, crazy takedown transition. He defended the takedown. He kind of got stuck in a little bit, and then Giagos just snatched up the neck, and it was props to Giagos. But man, I'm still a little bitter because I really thought Sean could have won that fight, and I still think if they fight again, he has a really good shot to beat Giagos. I really think he's going to destroy Nuerdanbieke. The dude is a pretty established Chinese wrestler. I went back and rewatched his UFC debut against Josh Kulabau, and dude's very aggressive with the takedowns. He's very aggressive. His striking's not all that great, but he's competent enough on the feet, but he's nowhere near the level of striker that Sean Soriano is. And of course, his path to victory is just continuously getting the takedowns. I don't think that's going to work against Sean Soriano. Dude comes from a pretty solid team, trains with Michael Chandler. He has a wealth of experience defending takedowns. His world is obviously the striking. I don't know if he's going to knock out Nuerdanbieke, but I see him hurting him on the feet using his low calf kicks. Eventually, I think he's going to win this one by decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes him, but Nuerdanbieke is pretty tough himself. So I'll go with Soriano to win this one by a decision. I think I'm going to be putting him in a parlay. But next bout at flyweight, Cody Durden versus Quailing Aori. This one I had trouble with because I wasn't too sold on either guy. And I think the odds actually have it perfect. They're near even minus 115 for Durden. Comeback on Aori is minus 105. Aori is going to have the striking advantage, and Cody Durden's going to have the wrestling and grappling advantage. For both of these guys, they're coming off a loss. Cody Durden himself, he hasn't had any win in the UFC. He's had 2 fights in the UFC, went to draw with Chris Gutierrez, and unfortunately lost to Jimmy Flick, who submitted him and then dipped out of the sport forever. And then for Aori, he lost to Jeff Molina, a fight that I thought he was on his way to win up until I think the second round. He got caught and dropped. Then he lost the third round. I'm still a little disappointed in this motherfucker because I thought he was on his way to win this fight. And then, Jeff Molina just put it on him. I'm having trouble with this one. It kind of made me wonder, like, is Cody Durden's striking up to par if he can't get the takedown? I think for sure he is going to get a takedown. His wrestling is quite nice. The way he takes your back, he can take your back immediately. I think one of the commentators kind of mentioned in his fight with Gutierrez, like, yeah, he took the back very Khabib-esque. And he did. He's very fast when he's taking the bag. And I think he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He actually strikes pretty decently. He has a very nice low leg kick, low calf kick. It sounds nice when he throws it. Like, it sounds like a nasty thud. For Aori, I think his striking again is solid. I don't know how well he's going to be able to defend the takedowns. He does get tired. For this one, though, I want to go with Cody Durden. I think he really wants this UFC win. He's fought the better competition so far. He fought Chris Gutierrez and went to a draw with him. He completely dominated the first round. If he can get Aori down and control him for the first round, I think he's got a good chance to win the first round by a submission, probably a rear naked choke. But we'll see. My biggest concern with this one is that Aori eventually stuffs the takedowns in the second and third round, and it just kind of puts it on him. For Durden, though, again, I'm not too sold on his striking, but we'll see how this one goes out. But I'll go with Durden to win this one. If anything, I'm probably going to be safe and say a decision. I think he can grind it out. But I would really like to see him get that first round sub. But I'll go officially Cody Durden by decision. Our next bout at lightweight, Terrence McKinney, T-Rex that is, versus Fares the Smile Killer Ziam. Funny enough, it's one of my favorite nicknames, T-Rex, T period, and then the word Rex, like he's going to wreck somebody. I don't know why I think that's kind of like charming to me. Versus Smile Killer, which is like, what the hell? Does he kill smiles, or does he smile at you as he's killing you? It's not very clear. But currently the odds have it minus 110, minus 110, so even. My initial thought on this fight was I think Ziam is a bit underrated. And I think he's going to decision Terrence McKinney because going back, McKinney, I've seen his losses. He lost to Sean, the freaky alien Woodson, another long and lanky striker. And one of the losses that still kind of bothers me, I have to go back and watch it, was his submission loss to Derek Minner. He got him in a triangle choke, and I think they fought in North Platte, Nebraska, or some shit like that, in like a regional scene about 2 years ago. But since then, Terrence McKinney's kind of been on a tear. He's on a 4-fight win streak, came into the UFC, knocked out Matt Frivola and with like a 1-2, and then just finished him off in 8, 9, 10 seconds. Then he ended up hurting his leg celebrating. But the dude is pretty solid. I like his wrestling. He's a very solid wrestler. It reminds me a lot of Chiesa. Funny enough, because they trained together and he's from Spokane, Washington. he's got the wrestling, and I really like his wrestling. Even going back and rewatching his fight in the Contender Series against Sean Woodson, he was kind of dominating that fight pretty easily, and I haven't seen Woodson get dominated like that ever since. And then, of course, he made a mistake, kind of telegraphed the shot. Woodson caught him with a flying knee. I don't think that's going to happen in this bout. But for ZM, what I like about him is that his movement. He's a sniper in there. What I like about ZM is that he's a tall dude. He's 6'1". He's got a 75-inch reach, and he knows how to use that reach. His fights as of late, he's really displayed a nice well-roundedness. When he needs to strike, like when he did with Vendramini, he'll strike with you. He'll keep you on the feet. His takedown defense is pretty solid. He uses his jab very nicely. But when it comes to this bout, I think I like Terrence McKinney a bit more. I was initially on the ZM side because I thought he was going to just dance around, keep Terrence McKinney away, and just edge out the decision. I think the hype is kind of coming with Terrence McKinney, so I thought maybe this could be a spot where that hype kind of gets a little too much for him, and then it makes him into this fighter that he's not. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think he's going to mix it up well. He's going to use his striking to lead into his takedowns and then kind of beat the crap out of Ziam, maybe even submit him on the ground. Ziam's been kind of dominated in the ground before by Don Madge, so I can see Terrence McKinney doing the same if he needs to. Another thing that Terrence can do is potentially bum rush to get a knockout. ZM didn't really know how to handle that bum rush from Luigi Vendramini in his last fight. Nearly, I don't want to say it nearly cost him, but it just put him in a very awkward, uncomfortable position. And he kind of got dominated for a little bit on the ground. But I like Terrence. It might bite me in the ass because I can see ways that ZM can win this one, but I'll go with Terrence McKinney to win this one by a decision. I don't think he'll knock out ZM. If he does, fantastic, but I think he's going to use his wrestling in this fight. Our next bout, very short notice fight at strawweight, Loma Lookboonmee versus Lupita Lupi Godinez. Lupita's taking this fight on short notice, and funny enough, she is a favorite, minus 150 compared to the plus 125 for Lookboonmee. This one kind of gave me some fits as well. I wasn't sure how to go about it. I think Lupita is the stronger girl, the better grappler, perhaps. But Lookboonmee, I think she's better in the clinch, and she might have a chance to really stuff the takedowns of Godinez. Godinez is for sure going to want to get it to the ground. She's not going to want to strike with the Muay Thai expert of Lookboonmee. And yeah, I'm not certain on this one. There's a lot of things going on with Lupita. I think she's trying to be a little too tough for her own good. She's taking fights that she shouldn't be taking, like, for example, with Luana Carolina, where she ended up losing that bout when she moved up a weight class. Although that's awesome and the ball's on this girl, it's just that, dude, don't be taking fights you don't need to be taking. And this is her what, third fight in less than 2 months. I'm not sure if that's going to be a negative thing for her, or if she's going to be more active and she's going to feel a bit more comfortable in the cage. So it's very tricky to pick this one. I'm probably staying away from it. I'll go with Lookboonmee to win this one. Basically a dog or pass for me. I'll say by decision, of course, because it's a women's fight. Our next bout at lightweight, we've got gifted Rafa Garcia versus the debutante of Natan Levy. And currently the odds have it minus 115 for Levy, comeback on Garcia, minus 105. These odds are interesting because I would have thought Levy would be the clear and cut favorite. I think he would have been maybe like at least a minus 170. Dude is a black belt in karate. Dude's a very, very good striker. His jiu-jitsu is not too bad. I think he's very, very gifted on the feet. He is coming out of Syndicate MMA, and Rafa Garcia, dude, kind of shit the bed his last fight. And because of that, I'm not picking this dude ever again. He could win this fight. He can destroy Natan Levy, but I'm not picking this guy at all. I had him to beat Chris Grutzmacher, and he shit the bed. Absolutely shit the bed. I had him to win. I think a lot of people did. A lot of people put their money on this guy just based off of his performance against Nazareth Hakparas, where he looked pretty damn solid. Like, hey, this guy made his debut against Hakparas, and he looked pretty solid. He's going to come in here and destroy Grutzmacher. And Grutzmacher, I don't know, man, just broke him in that fight. I did not like what I saw. I think Levy, again, being that he's a lifelong martial artist, a black belt in karate, looking at him in his Instagram, dude looks incredibly fast, incredibly ready. Dude's been trying to make his debut for a while. I think his last bout got postponed. I like this guy. I got him to win. I'm going to say by decision. I don't think we'll be able to knock out Garcia as much as I want him to, just for payback. I think he edges this one out by a decision. Of course, Garcia being a pretty solid grappler and wrestler, he can try to take this to the ground and try to dominate the less experienced guy. Levy's only 6-0 compared to the 12-2 for Garcia. But again, I think Levy, he's just very gifted, and I think he's going to be able to do just well in any position that he gets put in. So I'll go with him to win this one by a decision. Our next bout at featherweight, we've got Tucker Top Gun Lutz versus Pat Sabatini. And for this bout, currently the odds have it in favor of Sabatini minus 160, comeback on Lutz plus 130. This one I had some trouble with as well. A lot of these bouts are kind of close. This one in particular, it worries me because we've got a very, very excellent grappler in Pat Sabatini, and we've got a striker who's very comfortable on the feet. And notice I didn't say an excellent striker. I think Tucker Lutz, he's got some great qualities about him. So much so that there might be some value on him at the plus 130 line. Dude's got a very nice left hook, very educated. He throws that a lot and it lands very consistently, either if it's a check left hook, a lead left hook. That's his like primary weapon. He's got a very good cardio. He's a pretty decent kicker. He's not the greatest kicker, but he's a pretty solid kicker and decent wrestling. Now, Sabatini's wrestling's above and beyond the better wrestling between the two. Pat Sabatini is going to try to take it to the ground, and he's going to try to submit Tucker Lutz. The thing about Sabatini, though, is that his striking's not that great, and I do worry if he can't get the takedown, if he's going to be forced to strike with Lutz. Again, Lutz isn't the greatest striker, but him being comfortable, and that's quite a dangerous aspect, is that although I don't consider Lutz to be a great striker, he's very comfortable on the feet, and I can see him not necessarily knocking out Pat Sabatini, but hurting him and then just controlling him on the ground. The thing about Sabatini, I actually faded him his fight against Jamal Emmers, and it was looking promising for a bit. Actually, me and Jose, we were in San Diego, and I'm watching it on my phone, and I'm like, dude, we're about to win some money. And then this idiot Jamal Emmers decides, hey, let's play footsie with this decorated Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Dude, can't believe you played footsie with this dude. You go into the 50-50 position when I think he was trying to go for a toe hold while Pat Sabatini is isolating the heel hook. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, that was just heartbreaking. But yeah, I can see Pat Sabatini dominating this one on the ground. If he is able to get it to the ground, for sure, I can see him winning at least 2 rounds. The third round, he's kind of known to gas out a little bit. And yeah, that third round might be a bit troublesome if he's forced to strike with Tucker Lutz. But I do see Sabatini finding the submission in the first 2 rounds. Again, I think Tucker Lutz, I still need to see a lot more from him. I think he's a very capable fighter. He's not the greatest prospect in the featherweight division. I think more so Sabatini is more of a dangerous guy and the guy more likely to end this fight. I don't think Tucker's got excellent power, although Sabatini's chin is kind of suspect. I see Sabatini having more of a route to finish the fight with his grappling. That's how good I think it is. So I'll go with Sabatini's second round submission. Probably, I'll say, it's tough to say. Dude is quite good, but I'll say a rear naked choke in the second round. And before I break down the main card, I'd like to ask, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment. I appreciate all the comments from last week, wishing me better. I feel better now. As for Jose, again, he'll be back. Any negative comments you would leave for Jose, go ahead and leave them for me. I'll definitely respond. I'll let him know what's going on. But yeah, we'll break down this main card with a bout at bantamweight, Adrian Yanez versus dangerous Davy Grant. And currently the odds have it in favor of who else but Adrian Yanez minus 255. The comeback on Davy Grant is plus 205. And I will say this, no pun intended, but this is a very dangerous fight for Adrian Yanez. Davy Grant, at 35 years old, despite him losing his last fight to Marlon Vera, dude has been on something special, man. Like he has been just wanting that gritty, nasty fight, and he will give it to you. He knocks out Jonathan Martinez, pissed a lot of people off, cost a lot of people a lot of money. He also knocked out Martin Day in Fight Island. I remember that because I actually bet Martin Day. I did not see that happening. I did not respect Davy Grant, but I learned to respect Davy Grant. But I hate to say it, though, as much as I respect Davy Grant, he's going to get knocked out by Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez is on a different level right now with those hands, man. He's 14-3, of course. He's going to have a 1-inch reach advantage. He's one of these guys that actually knows how to use that 1-inch reach advantage. Man, his striking is fantastic. That fight with Randy Costa, it was not necessarily an eye opener, but it was good to see Randy Costa kind of beat his ass for the first round with the speed. Then he made the right adjustments, attacked the body, and eventually got him out of there in the second round. And it was nice to see Adrian Yanez kind of go through a little bit of adversity. I wouldn't be surprised, based off of the way that he's been fighting and finishing fights, if he kind of gets rushed up a little bit. I wouldn't want that, of course, because I want to still see him knock some dudes out. I don't want to see him get rushed too quickly, but it's the way of the world sometimes. They get rushed if they're that exciting, and Adrian Yanez is a damn exciting fighter. He, of course, has to be very careful with Davy Grant. Again, Davy Grant is very, very dangerous. So he has to kind of mind his P's and Q's, but I can see, of course, Adrian Yanez weathering the storm in the first round. I think that's when Davy Grant's going to be the most dangerous. And eventually, I think Yanez is going to find his shots and land something significant and TKO him against the cage. So I see him kind of being a bit calm, not rushing things. Davy Grant's not going to be as fast as Randy Costa, that he's going to kind of bum rush him. He's going to eventually see the counters, crack him with a right, attack the body with the left hook, and then just kind of make him crumble against the cage. So I'll go with Adrian Yanez, round number 3, TKO. Next bout at flyweight, Joanne, no longer Calderwood. She's actually Joanne Wood now, versus Talia Santos. And this one, I don't have much to say. It's the odds kind of tell you everything. Minus 300 for Talia Santos. Joanne Calderwood, God damn it, Joanne Wood is plus 240. Joanne Wood is, yeah, she has been not good for a while. She is primarily a striker, and she doesn't even do that very well anymore. Talia Santos, she is a Muay Thai fighter. She is an anomaly. This woman has been out grappling some of the best grapplers in this division. I think she's going to easily win this fight if her striking gets her in trouble against Joanne Wood, which it's possible. You know, Joanne is very tricky on the feet. I mean, years ago, I remember like back in like 2011, I was watching Joanne Calderwood at the time destroy people with knees. They used to call her Dr. Neville, a bad mofo JoJo, man. She was something to behold, especially at that time for women's fighters. But yeah, I'm not seeing that same fighter anymore. Like, I don't know what it is, but I just think Talia Santos right now, I think she's just a better fighter, and she's going to dominate Joanne Wood. So I've got Santos to win this one by a decision. Next bout at bantamweight. This fight has been postponed once before due to COVID. Ronnie Yahya versus Mr. Perfect, Kang Ho Kang. And previously, I think me and Jose, we both had Kang to win this one by decision. I'm not changing my prediction just because it's a very close fight. It's minus 110 for both guys. They're both grapplers. Ronnie Yahya gasses out. I have always been a fan of Mr. Perfect. Kang. I think his style is well suited to defeat Ronnie Yahya. I think he's going to be the bigger guy. Of course, he's 5'9". He's got a 73-inch reach. I think he can keep it on the feet, and if he has to take it to the ground, if he gets taken to the ground by Ronnie Yahya, I think he's very well capable enough to reverse or get back to the feet. But yeah, I got Kang to win this one by a decision. Co-main event at welterweight. This is a banger. We've got Michael Maverick Chiesa versus Sean Brady. And one thing I got to say about Sean Brady, this dude is freaking thick. I had to rewatch his fight with Jake Matthews. And as he's being introduced by Bruce Buffer, I'm looking at him like, dear God, this motherfucker is jacked. It was like, Jesus, like I've never seen a guy at 5'10" being that like thick in a long time. Uh, Interesting bout, minus 150 currently for Sean Brady. Come back on Chiesa plus 130. Uh, Instantly, I have to bring this up. Michael Chiesa is one of the how can I put it? Not easily submitted dudes in the division, but for a guy who is a pretty top level grappler, he's been submitted a lot. And Deshaun Brady is a pretty solid and very strong grappler. This particular fight has given me fits as well because I am all on the Brady train. I think he's capable of winning this fight, but this is a tough matchup for him just because he is fighting a guy either equal to or better than him in the wrestling and the grappling. Michael Chiesa, as we know, if he gets you to the ground, it's tough. He's very tough to shake off. He's a very tall. He's 6'1" to start off, and he used to fight at lightweight, which is insane. And I think I brought this up once. I was in Dallas once, and I saw Michael Chiesa as he's walking by me, and he keeps getting bigger and bigger as he's walking past me. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Michael Chiesa, you're fucking huge for being a 155er. And that does worry me about this fight. If you're picking Sean Brady, is that Michael Chiesa can edge out a three round decision. I'm not a fan of Michael Chiesa. I'm so much not a fan of Michael Chiesa that I am actually worried for Sean Brady. I think Sean Brady, again, he's a very talented guy. I think his striking solid. I just don't think he has like the power to necessarily hurt or knock out Chiesa or put him in a position where he is forced to shoot and I guess throw an awkward shot where Sean Brady can capitalize and snatch the neck. I don't know if he's going to have the raw power to take down Chiesa. I actually see ways Chiesa wins this bout easier than Sean Brady wins this bout. It's a tough one for me to pick. But with this one, I think Sean Brady is going to eventually find a way. I think he's very skilled. And if you're able to put Michael Chiesa in a situation that he's not comfortable in, I think I don't want to say this because there is a level of me that still kind of respects Chiesa a little bit, despite me not liking him. But I think he finds a way to lose. I think he finds a way out. So if you put him in that position where you hurt him, I think Sean Brady can do that. And he's going to eventually give up the neck. Again, a guy who is such a touted grappler, he gets submitted a lot. So I'll go with Sean Brady to win this one, either by a late, I'm going to say second or third round guillotine choke. Well, boys, the main event, Ketlen Vieira versus Miesha Tate. What did we do to deserve this main event? Yeah, I'm not a fan of this fight. Not sure why they are putting these two together. I think they're just trying to really push Miesha Tate to that bantamweight title. That makes the most sense, of course, right? Ketlen Vieira, I mean, she's a solid girl. She's a black belt in judo, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think she's a solid wrestler. Miesha Tate, I'm still not sold on her. Funny enough, she is the favorite. She's minus 120. Come back on Vieira plus 100. These two ladies, tough to break down because, again, I'm not too sold on Miesha Tate. Miesha Tate, if we remember the Miesha Tate from old, relentless takedowns, very tough, never really gave up. Ketlen Vieira is for sure going to have the striking advantage. It's an interesting bout. It's two lady grapplers, and it's tough to say who has the better wrestling at this point. I think Miesha Tate's obviously the quote unquote better fighter. She's been the UFC champion. She's fought the better competition. It's just that Ketlen Vieira She is the younger fighter. And I do worry that, say, if I go with Miesha Tate to win this one, which is probably what I'm going to go with, is Tate by decision, is that if I go with Miesha Tate, she's going to shit the bed. And I just see it happening. I see her just not living up to the expectations that we're expecting from her, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We're expecting her to perform a certain way, but just because she came back and beat Marion Renault and it looked impressive doesn't necessarily mean she's going to come back here and fight the number 6 woman in the world and look just as impressive. And that does worry me. This bout I might just stay away from. I'll have to go with Miesha Tate to win. I think if she does perform as I'm expecting her to, she should win this one by a decision. She'll get the takedowns. She'll stay on top. Yeah, as long as she's able to perform that way, I think she should win. That is her path to victory, of course, is to chase the takedowns, use her grappling, avoid standing with Caitlin Vieira. Although I don't consider Caitlin to be that dangerous of a striker, I've never really considered Miesha Tate striking to be all that impressive. So I'll go with Miesha Tate to win this one by a decision. I am staying away from it completely. Leave a comment if you're taking any side on this one. But yeah, I'm not sold on it. I'd like to hear your opinions on this particular fight. I would hope to God I didn't have to break this down as a main event for a UFC fight night, but here we are, and this is what we got, and we got to deal with it. Hopefully it ends in a spectacular KO, but probably not. But yeah, I'll go with Miesha Tate by a decision. But yeah, that's been Johnny from Tiger Bomb MMA. Just again, remember, leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And that's been UFC Fight Night, Tate versus Vieira. And I will catch you at the next fight.